Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of September. I hope you're all well. I'm sorry for those of you who were expecting mid-month readings this month. Well, last month now, actually, August. I did put up a post on the community tab on YouTube, just letting you know that there wouldn't be any, because I was taking a little break. I was going away on holiday with my kids for a couple of weeks. But I know not all of you saw it, so if you were one of those people who were expecting the readings and didn't see them, I'm so sorry about that. They will be back as usual from this month, so don't fret. I have not abandoned you forever. So, using the Night Sun Tarot today was a birthday present from my sister, which is awesome because it's been on my wish list for ages, and she didn't even know. She's got a habit of managing to do this. She just knows. She did it with a law book that I wanted a few years ago for when I was writing my thesis for my undergrad, and she has no legal experience at all, like no legal education, and she went to Waterstones and just kind of like her way to the book on the shelf and presented me with it for my birthday, and I was like, holy shit. So anywho, let's get some cards for you, Taurus, and see what's going on. My 3 cards for Taurus, please. Ooh, there's the first one. We have the 10 of Pentacles in your recent past. That's delicious. I like that for you, Taurus. 2 more cards for Taurus, please. That one. Your present energy is the Hanged Man. It's the card of Pisces in the Major Arcana. And then what's coming towards Taurus, please, for September? Ooh, we have the Emperor. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the King of Pentacles, which is you, Taurus. This is showing up very authentically in your read. I always love it when you do this. And to be honest, you do it a lot. Taurus, Leo and Scorpio always seem to show up in their own readings without fail. Right, let's get some clarifiers. Which deck that I want to go with? Oh, we're going to go with the Hush Tarot. It's interesting, this combination of cards has been coming out, a combination of decks. I've been wanting to be used together all week. I bought this a few months ago, and I tried to do some readings for myself with it, which is what I do with all my decks when I first get them. And I just didn't gel with it at all, and I was kind of devastated because it's a really stunning piece of work and it just wasn't talking to me at all. So it's been sat on the side here for a couple of months, and then I picked it up when I got back from Zakynthos, and it just started singing like a bird to me. So I think maybe it just needed to sit in my turret and absorb my energy a little bit before it wanted to play. So let's have a look and see. It's 10 of Pentacles. This one's the 10 of Pentacles here. That's awesome. We've got the 7 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles to clarify the 10. Let's go to your current energy. Why is the Hanged Man here for Taurus, please? That one zipped out really fast. We've got the 3 of Cups. Okay. Oh. And the 5 of Swords. Right. And why is the Emperor here for Taurus, please? What? How is that possible? Oh, it's a different deck. 10 of Pentacles again. Right. I was like, hang on, the 10 of Pentacles has already come out. How's that occurred? Well, I'm using 2 decks. That's how it occurred. Fucking hell. Right. Where's the Emperor here, please? For Taurus. Shit. Oh, and we have the Lover's card. Love it. Right. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the 4 of Swords, followed by Strength and the 9 of Cups. Oh, I like this for you, Taurus, very much. So the 4 of Swords is about taking a rest. It's about taking a step back from a situation, for me anyway. Let's see, there it is. Right. And often this is off the back of heartbreak, but for some signs, and Taurus, I do think that you're one of them, rather than it being, you know, like a stinging, visceral situation that broke your heart in one go, a lot of Taurians, just like a lot of Scorpios and a lot of Leos, actually, as well, while I think about it, have had a kind of long-standing, consistent, low-level heartbreak going on for potentially for decades, actually, that we've never really quite managed to touch. And that makes this quite profound, because it feels like you are in a period of recovery. Now, certainly the readings that I've been doing for you this year have been moving very much in that direction now. I'm just wondering whether I need to close the door. Like, the whole fucking RAC rally is going to come driving past my house in a second. Should we just do it anyway? Right, there for a sec. Oh. Yeah. Okay, that's better. I don't need to worry about cars going past now. This makes this more profound, because this is something that has been going on for a long time for you, and it is little steps, but it is happening for you. It's not just about breaking up with one person and then trying to get over it a little bit. This is something bigger than that. It's something deeper than that. It's followed by strength here, right? It's the card of Leo, but it talks about growth to me, soul growth particularly, but it's surviving difficult circumstances. And whilst you might not have come through it completely unscathed, you certainly are changed. You're matured. You know, you see the world in a different way. And these two cards together, I think, beautifully profound for the pair of you. The Nine of Cups, absolutely delighted to see that one underneath there as well, because this is about understanding that your happiness is your responsibility. It's no one else's. And if you're handing responsibility for your happiness over to someone else, not only are you kind of being unfair to them for a start, because that's a lot of responsibility, but you're also depriving yourself of a really powerful and empowering tool, right? When you understand that your happiness is your own business, right? And how you make it happen for yourself is your own business, your duty, your responsibility. You stop pushing things onto other people, right? You stop blaming people for other things. Yeah. And you put up good boundaries, which you absolutely have been doing, and you get really clear about what it is that you want, and then you go after it. Haven't even looked at the cards that are on the table yet, and I'm really delighted with it anyway, already, before we started. What have we got here? Oh yeah, and the King of Pentacles here. Really strong presentation by you. You know, like, hello, I'm Taurus, I'm here. So, we start with, in your recent past, the Ten of Pentacles. And that has a bull on it as well. Right, there it is. The Ten of Pentacles is about... Well, in some decks, I feel the interpretation of it being that sort of snapshot in time where legacy and heritage collide, being really, really valid. But it's a little different here. You know, there's definitely a snapshot kind of energy to it. But with the bull symbolism on this card, which you don't often see on Ten of Pentacles, you see dogs and you see families and you maybe see horses every now and again. Can't think of another deck off the top of my head where there's a bull. We're looking to the Taurian qualities of the earth suit. So absolutely, we've got fixed earth. So we've got structure, we've got stability, we've got longevity, we've got the notion that seeds that were planted a long time ago are now either beginning to bear fruit, or the tree is growing and becoming stable and needs a little less, you know, constant attention and constant nurturing. It's commitment. Now, what the commitment is going to vary from Taurus to Taurus. For some of you, you may have met someone. For others of you, you may have sorted out, you know, something in your physical environment, like, you know, your house or something like that. You've got a new house, that kind of thing. It could be getting really comfortable with your family, if there's been some sort of family feud, or being able to lean on your family in some way, or being there for your family to lean on you, potentially. For some of you, it might be a new job. You know, the Pentacles suit deals with the material. Again, it's everything that's down here, you know, from the camera that I'm recording this on, to my table, to the cards, to the laptop, to everything, you know, all of this is all earth element stuff. And it's shown up really, really strongly for you in the recent past because you called it in. And I feel a real sense of contentment here, actually, Taurus, with what you're pulling towards you. Things may not be perfect yet, but they're strides ahead of where you were a few months ago. And I feel a great sense of, I was going to say optimism, but that's kind of the wrong take on here. There's a lot of determination. I'm looking at that bull's face, and I mean, fuck bulls and determination, right? 100% for a thing. What's the word I'm looking for? You're just ready, I think. You know, this bull is primed and ready to go. He's kind of breathing, and you can see the cold air. It's kind of, you know, or the warm air that's coming out of the bull's nose is looks like steaming around. But right in the center here, we've got a pentacle. And all the others are kind of rotated around it. 3, 6, 9, 10. There's 10 around it, but there's one right in the center. It seems like you've learned, right? You've learned that everything starts in the middle. It starts from the ace. It starts from inside you, right? It feels like your internal state now is such that it is affecting your external reality. And you're so empowered off the back of it, right? There's no fluffy vibes here. This is why I'm struggling to find the vocabulary to express what it is that I'm feeling here, right? It's not happiness and contentment and soft fluffy things. Oh, I'm so happy, all of that. It's resolute, right? It's strong, determined, very focused, actually quite aligned as well. Now, two clarifiers that came out underneath that were the 7 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. And I think that this is really powerful as cards to kind of explain this 10 of Pentacles position. Because the 7 of Pentacles is all about, for me, being dissatisfied with something in your status quo, right? And the idea is, he's usually got some bloke and he's kind of leaning on a hoe, looking dejectedly at his plant, which isn't growing at the rate that he wanted it to. It doesn't look like it's going to, you know, produce anything worthy of harvest in the way that he had hoped it would. So he's stood there, like leaning on his hoe, trying to work out whether he should invest more into this plant. Maybe it just needs a bit more nurturing, or whether he actually just needs to cut his losses and walk away from it, right? It's quite a present energy because you're needing to make decisions based on what you have in front of you right there. But ultimately, it's because something's wrong and you're not happy with it and you don't know quite yet what to do about it. But then we come to the Ace, and I love this because what this says to me is that there were things in your life that you weren't happy with, and so you just changed them, right? As simple as that. Where months ago, and definitely years ago, but certainly even up until about 3 months ago, there were things in your life that were going on that you weren't happy with, and you were just like, well, shit, this is awful, and it's so hard, and I'm struggling so badly, and I don't know what to do, and I don't have a roadmap now to follow, to do. I want to put my head down, I want to work, I want to get through this, but how the fuck do I do it? This was like, you just went, well, actually, I don't need a roadmap. I've got faith in myself. I am resolute. I'll just change it. We'll see what happens. No, start something new. And what's actually happened is, it feels like it was the right thing to do, because as a result, what you've ended up with is the 10 of Pentacles. You've got the things that you want, and now you can stand proud and resolute and things like that. You don't need somebody else to draw you a roadmap of how to go, where to go, how to get there. You've worked it all out for yourself, and this has strengthened you in a way that no amount of guidance from other people or well-intentioned, emotional support and all that kind of thing, none of that has made the difference as much as you doing it for yourself. Love it. It's really, really cool. So, in your current energy, you've got the Hanged Man. And there are a number of different interpretations for this. Sometimes it can talk about being in a period of waiting, right? And you're a Taurus, so being patient is something that comes along. You know, it's one of your attributes. You're renowned for it. But I'm not entirely sure if you are patiently waiting for something at the moment, right? You try and get a Leo to wait for anything, it's fucking horrific, because we don't want to do it, because we're not patient at all. We want everything yesterday, and you know, the next best thing is like right now, and anything other than that is awful. You're not like that. You plant seeds, and then you nurture them, and you wait for them, and you're patient, and you let things grow, right? Fire is very different, but this is earth. And it could be that you're waiting for something specific, an end result, but it doesn't feel like that to me. This feels more like a period of kind of repose and reflection. Like you're not really committing yourself to anything at the moment, other than the fact that you're not going to commit yourself to anything, right? Now, I'm not saying you're not committing yourself to people, but it feels a little bit like you're putting yourself in the center of your world, which is where you should be, Taurus, actually. And it's almost like you're waiting for insights. You're waiting for illumination about things. It's a very passive card. This is not about going after things, chasing stuff down, getting answers, things like that. It's willing, voluntary submission to a period of repose. Just sitting still, waiting what happens. Wait to see what happens. Why is at this point slightly unclear to me, but it feels intuitive. It feels like you're being you're responding to something in your gut that's saying don't move anywhere yet, like don't make any sudden moves, don't do anything, just sit and watch, just see what happens, right? It's like you're opening up to the universe to kind of drop things at you. And whether this is to do with, you know, your interpersonal relationships, maybe you're just waiting to see what happens with someone, or whether it's, you know, work circumstances or anything, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's this underlying theme of observation and passivity at the moment that seems to be coming through the strongest. Now, the two cards that came out to clarify are the Three of Cups and the Five of Swords, and that's an interesting combination. The Three of Cups can have a number of different interpretations, and not all of them are fun, right? The Three of Cups, if there is a card to suggest such a thing, then for me it's the card that talks about third-party situations. And let's not, they don't necessarily need to mean, you know, affairs or cheating or anything like that. Sometimes that third party can be work, can be a hobby that takes up too much time, can be, you know, kind of misplaced priorities, something like that. But I usually see it as emotional support networks. That's how I choose to interpret it. And this card from the Hush Tarot, which I'm not ever so familiar with, so I'm really enjoying just seeing what kind of springs out at me as I look at the card. This woman appears to be on a carousel, right? She's riding a goat, as you do, you know. And there's a hare down by her feet, which is kind of springing, and it's looking like at me as it's moving along. And it's interesting how we have movement here, right? But it's on a carousel, so we can extrapolate from that it is really just going around in circles at the moment. The woman's not looking at the view. She's not taking it all in. She's kind of looking down at the floor, actually. She looks like she might be looking at the inside of her own head, really. She kind of looks lost in thought. The goat is staring straight ahead, and the hare is kind of looking at me. And so, although there is movement, it's not going anywhere, right? And it feels like you're kind of going along with the world and, you know, maybe your job and all the things, you kind of, there's an element of autopilot here with this, right? So the hair is down here, and the hair is kind of noticing things, it's observing things, it's taking things in. You personally, Taurus, are in a state of kind of almost meditative reflection, certainly autopilot, kind of doing the things, you know, round and round and round we go on the rat race, you know, all that sort of thing. You're kind of doing all of those things, but you personally are not moving, right? You're sat on the back of the goat, and there's a lot going on up here. Maybe it's up here, maybe it's in here. It's hard to tell. You know, she's got her eyes closed. She's not looking. And then we've got this Five of Swords. Now, usually the fives, well, the fives are all agents of chaos, right? They are disruptive movement. If the four's the foundation, then when a five comes along, it just sort of fucks shit up, right? No, it does it for a reason. It's not just for shits and giggles. There is a purpose to it. It tests foundations. It shows you where, you know, the foundations are weak, where they need shoring up, or maybe that you built them in the wrong place altogether, right? There's always a point to this energy. It's not just wanton violence. And with swords, we've got words and we've got thoughts and we've got, you know, communications of all sorts. So this card can come to mean ghosting. It can come to mean people getting in touch that you'd actually really rather not speak to. It can be rows, it can be arguments. It's some sort of shift in communication. Now, we don't have the standard depiction here on this card. Usually there are multiple people and at least two of them are walking away, sort of heads down, looking dejected and defeated, whilst one person stands in the foreground looking really quite smug with themselves, holding all the swords. There is only one character here, and he's holding 3 swords in his arm here. He's got another one in his hand, and he's left one behind in the brush. He looks like his name should be William or Thomas or something. And he does actually look quite pleased with himself, but he does look quite focused too. And so, rather than the standard interpretations that I tend to go with for the Five of Swords, I'm looking at the fact that he's holding the 3 there, and the 3 of Swords indicates heartbreak, right? And we're back to that notion of heartbreak here. We're moving on from the 4, which is this rest and this break and stuff. This card actually feels to me like what the message is for your current energy here is that although you're on this kind of merry-go-round and you're on autopilot and you're kind of doing this, you are actually doing a bit of furious exploration of your internal space at the moment, right? He's got just 1 sword in his hand. That's the Ace of Swords, right? And he's cutting down the underbush. He's got the 3 in his arms because this notion of low-level heartbreak and shit that we've been talking about is something that he wants to get to the root of. That's how it feels to me. To look at you, I don't think it would seem at all like you have withdrawn from the human race, right? You're playing the game, you're towing the line, you're doing all of the things. Like nobody's worried about you because you know you're showing up and you're doing all this stuff. But inside, it feels like there's a bit of an adventure going on, right? I don't get any dark feelings with this. I don't feel like it's grave and serious and things like that. I feel like it's intrigued, increasingly emboldened, in fact, to go within and see what's going on. Now, this is really interesting because when I did the readings for Sagittarius and Virgo that went up yesterday, what became very, very clear over the course of those readings was that both of them need to do some shadow work or are poised, in fact, to do some shadow work. And I am 100% going to do the shadow readings that I've been promising for ages. I'm going to get those done in the next couple of weeks to try and assist with that. But it feels like, Taurus, you are doing the same thing. right? But you're doing it from a far less grave point, starting point, than Virgo and Sagittarius. This is resolute, this is determined, this is like, I am going to go and find shit, you know, like this. You don't feel like you're frightened of what you might discover. It feels, in fact, very enthusiastic, like almost to the point where if you don't discover anything, you're going to be utterly wounded because you really want to get to the seat of this. I mean, like this Five of Swords. Yes, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. Now that is your ace, Taurus. It's definitely the one that I want to see in a Taurian reading, because this is solid movement. Right, okay. We've got the Magician at the bottom of the deck. The card that's come out with the Ace of Pentacles is the Eight of Swords. This is fascinating. The Eight of Swords is about restriction. It's about feeling trapped, feeling frustrated, but ultimately it's about being stuck by your own mind, right? It's self-imposed limitations. In some ways it's waiting for people to save you. What you are looking for are those things that are limiting you, the ways in which you are limiting yourself, because you want to turf them out of the way. When I said here you were looking very determined and resolute and ready, really, really ready for stuff. Well, not only are you ready for new stuff that's coming in, but you're going off in here with the knowledge that everything starts from the center, right? And you're going off to find what these things are that have held you back in the past. The things that you're not already aware of, I should add. New things you're looking for. Because your aim is to manifest something really, whoa, limitless for yourself, actually. You know, I'd say the power of the Magician, that which you can manifest for yourself is limited only by, you know, the extent of your own imagination. You're serious. You're on a bit of a mission here, Taurus, and I love that. I'm fucking here for this. This is awesome. Now, what you've got coming towards you in September is the Emperor. Now, that's Aries energy. Right, and it's number 4, where you are number 5 as the Hierophant archetype, right? And the Hierophant and the Emperor really do share a lot of crossover traits with things, right? There's something quite supremely hierarchical about it. There's also something quite patriarchal about both archetypes. I'm just going to say that. But there is structure implied here, and where there's, I mean, I was going to say there's less of a warlike kind of aspect to the Hierophant, but then when you think about things like, you know, the Crusades and stuff like that, maybe there isn't actually less there. There is an equal amount. But the Emperor is about strategy, it's about planning, it's about having a plan moving forwards. I'm just looking at the fact that he's holding this like scepter thing in his hand, and actually the crossover between the Hierophant and the Emperor here in terms of imagery is really, really strong. So but it is fire energy, so it is very, very active. And it seems like what you're doing here, what you have been doing in your recent past, what you are currently engaging in your current energy, is a precursor to movement. It's a precursor to action. This is the planning phase of movement that is coming soon, right? So the Hierophant is quite static energy, and I feel like the Emperor is too. But the difference is that the Emperor will stand still for as long as it takes for him to come up with a really good fucking plan, right? A really good strategy. Once he's read like Sun Tzu from cover to cover, and he's like, right, I know what I'm fucking doing now. And he puts all the preparatory stuff in place so that when it's time to move, he can just go, right? The Hierophant, conversely, is very slow moving, right? Very slow evolution. There's no springing about anywhere there. But there is for you here, right? There's something that you are planning to do. Now, I'm just going to throw this in because I see it, so it's not going to be true for all of you. It might only just be one of you, but what I see here is the Emperor, and the Emperor is one half of the divine couple, right? The Empress is the other half. The Empress is actually a card of Taurus for me as well. So this is active, where usually the Empress is passive and Taurian, right? You're showing up as the Emperor here. And we've got the Ten of Pentacles and we've got the Lovers card. Now, I do not usually choose to interpret the Lovers card as that, you know, a card of love coming together with somebody else. But because it's here, and I see it, and I think that at least one of you, this is sort of holding true. We've got one half of the divine couple here. We've got this card, the Lovers here, of union coming together with other people. And then we've got the Ten of Pentacles, which has already shown up for you, right? Card of commitment, card of coming together and creating a legacy. And so for some of you, at least, there may be the possibility that you are considering, you know, solidifying the union that you find yourself in some way. Now, whether that's through marriage or, you know, escalating the relationship up into some sort of way that makes it an obvious to the world that you are committed together. I don't know. But if you found your Empress, whoever she may be, or even, in fact, if you found your Emperor, maybe the energies are flipped on this reading, and this is kind of what's coming towards you, because this is what the Emperor's bringing in, right? This new level of commitment, because he's sat and thought about it. And he's like, no, I want this Taurus to be with me, right? Don't get hung up on the genders, because it's really not important for tarot at all. It's just about the presentation of the energy. For the rest of you, it's a little less specific, but it seems like what you have already started, you are seeking to improve upon and create more of, right? We've got the Ten of Pentacles over there, and we've got the Ten of Pentacles over here. We've got this card of strategy and planning and action with the Emperor when it's time, not a second before, but this fire energy, like trailblazing. And then we've got the Lovers, and the Lovers for me is a card of manifestation, right? I think there are a number of cards of manifestation in the tarot. Obviously, the Magician is the most, you know, well-known of them. And that's about the actual act of bringing something into the world. But the Lovers for me is kind of like manifestation to the side, because it's conscious co-creation, right? This isn't about choosing that thing or this thing. It's not about should we go there or should we go here. It's not even about should I choose between these two people, right? For me, it's a card of conscious co-creation because it's about stepping up and making a decision either way. How many people do you know feel trapped, right, by their circumstances? Fucking almost everyone in some way or another, right? Most people have an area of their life in which this applies. They feel completely stuck. And you say, well, what could you do to change it? And they go, well, I can't change anything. I literally can't change anything. Like, everything's just got to stay like this. But that's not exactly true, right? I'm really stressed out. I'm working 70 hours a week, right? Why are you doing that? Well, because I couldn't afford to pay my bills if I didn't work this job. Okay, fair enough. So you're choosing to do that then? No, I couldn't afford to pay my bills. I couldn't afford to pay for my house if I didn't do this job. And it was like, yeah, but you're choosing to have that house. You're choosing to incur the bills, you know, for whatever it is, right? That you now have had to commit yourself to this job that stresses you out, makes you unhappy in order to pay for. Right? You've got choices in everything. No one is ever truly stuck. There is compromise that needs to occur sometimes, and sometimes if you want this thing, then you've got to kind of do that thing, or at least you've got to find something that gives you the level of income that will allow you to do that thing, right? Whilst not having to do this. In truth, the ways in which we feel like we are stuck are really just illusions, right? They're what keep us putting our feet in front of each other every morning and just keep plodding on like that, right? Just getting our heads down and getting on with it. They complain and they moan, but they won't change it, even though they could. What they're doing in that circumstance is not employing the energy of the lovers, right? And this is why this is such a big deal, because when you're ready, right, to go, I feel like I'm in here, now I need to look at this situation objectively, I need to get some insight, right, into how I can change my life. And then you realise that there are a number of things that you can change, right? Yeah, you might not be able to do this thing, but did you actually really enjoy it? Do you need like 15 different paid for TV channels, right? Do you need Netflix and, you know, Amazon Prime and fucking, you know, Now TV? Do you need all of those things? Do you even fucking watch them? Probably not, right? Cut those off. You've suddenly just saved yourself £50 a month or something like that. You know, like, these are small examples, but you can extrapolate it up all the way along the line, right? I spent a lot of time complaining about how tired I was over lockdown. Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do the other. But no, I chose to work that long. I chose to work that hard. Right? I set up my own fucking schedule. I've got no one to complain, really, no grounds to complain about it at all, right? But when I was tired, I did, and I did feel like I was a little bit trapped by what I feel like I'd kind of created a monster a little bit in some ways. What I needed was a bit of perspective. I needed to be objective about it, and I was. It feels like you're doing the same thing. This is kind of like a life assessment thing, where not only are you looking at the ways in which you have limited yourself, but you're also looking at the ways in which you have blamed other circumstances for keeping you trapped, and you now realise that that's not the case. Right? And it doesn't feel like there's an aspect of your life that you're not prepared to use the lover's energy on somewhere. It's very present, and I love this for you, Taurus, because you've struggled with being present at times, right? When you can sit in your life and go, okay, right, well, I get tired a lot because I work too fucking hard. Now, I work too fucking hard because I need this amount of money every month, right? Why do I need that amount of money? Because I've committed myself to these things. Do I even fucking need them? Well, maybe I do, maybe I don't, right? Maybe I don't need some of those, but I do like those. Maybe actually I would like to have more time to do things, and that's gonna, you know, necessarily involve paying a little bit more for them. So maybe I'll lose this bit and I'll do this bit. I know I'm relating all of this to the 3D, but with the Ten of Pentacles coming up twice, it does feel like there's a kind of life refinement going on here. But what, again, I'm going to come back to it, what I really love about this is the fact that it's starting off in here first, and then you're looking to bring it out into the world. That's really exciting. So if this has resonated with you at all, I'd love it if you'd let me know. Just like the video or leave me a comment or something like that. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now because I want to unpack a few things and look at this a little more closely. I really like this. This is like super evolved stuff. I'm genuinely excited for you. So if you want to come join me over there, that's all cool. If not, don't worry. I should be back in probably about 10, 12 days for the mid-month readings. And I'll see you then. Take care.